Okay, so hopefully we are now live. That's good. Oh, honestly, you start to do these things, everything was set up as it should be, and then it went, oh, you need to log into Facebook. Okay, all right, log into Facebook. So, so that's what I've been doing. But luckily, I started a couple of minutes early for this live today, so I was able to have time to do it. So hopefully not too many people have been waiting or struggling to get hold of me, but I am now live on YouTube and Facebook. So welcome to the first Craftalong with Carol in September, which is really nice. So Craft with Carol live, rather. The Craftalong is Thursday. I'll tell you about that later. Don't forget, I've got a Craftalong on Thursday on Zoom. If you're on my email list, you will have got the Zoom link and the list of various bits that you might need. You might also need some scrap bits for decorations, but that's fine. We can manage that on the day. So that is Thursday at 11, and I'd love you to join me there. That would be great. Anyway, today I have another couple of extraordinary Flora cards, but this time I'm making a slimline card. So let me just swap to my desk view so you can see what we're going to work on. There we go. Yeah, is that fairly straight? Oh, it's not too bad actually. So it is this lovely set I'm using again, the Extraordinary Flora set, which has got all sorts of lovely things on it. And principally, I wanted to show off this lovely washi tape, which you can see I've used a fair bit of, but I've still got so much left. I can make so many more cards. And this time I wanted to make some slimline cards, which fit these slimline envelopes, which are available from our store. So, I mean, they're different colours, they're 3 different colours, but I've just chosen those for today. I'm also using some of the sentiments from Simply Said. So those are the 2 pieces I've got today. So making a slimline card, and I've got all my measurements here. I've got my little scrap for my, I've already done my birthday, so I need that for my card. I'll leave that there for a second, which I've used from the Happy Birthday on Simply Said. That's what I used it for. I just wanted the birthday, and you'll see why I just wanted the birthday in a minute. But I'm going to start off with the bits you need. Now, a slimline card for centimetres, I'll give you the inches as well, but that is 18 by 21.5 centimetres, scored at 9 centimetres. So you also need for this card, it was in inches, that is 8 3/4 inches by 7.5 inches, scored at 3 3/4. And we also need some layers. I'm doing 2 layers on this card. So my first layer is 8.5 by 21, and I'm using a contrast color layer. I've used Old Olive here. So that one is 8.5 by 20, no, by 21, I think. I think I've done that as 21. Pretty sure I've done that as 21. Hang on. Oh. Let me just check that for you, but I'm pretty sure I did it as 21. Yes, I did. So I've actually written it wrong. I said it right, but I've written it wrong. It's 8.5 by 21. Honestly, if you're working inches, you want one 8 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then we want a second layer, which is actually going to be a white layer. All will become clear. So that layer is 8 by 20.5. And I've drawn this out on a sheet of A4, so you can see you can get both the card base and layer 2 out of the same piece of cardstock. Because if you measure the 21.5 along here, 18 that way, you'll get your slimline card base, and then the bit that remains is actually 8 centimetres, and you just want to trim it a bit to 20.5. So that is what I'm doing now. I've already done this layer, my first layer here. Layer 2 in inches is 8 inches by 3 inches. So hopefully I've given you all the measurements, so I can get rid of these now. So I've drawn these out. Oh dear, can't get this up now. Help. It's stuck down. There we go. Too many bits. All the measurements, as always, will be in my blog. So let's just move those. Got too much stuff on my desk as usual. We will need the side bit out to do these measurements on the paper trimmer. So the first one I'm going to do is measure along 21 centimetres. So I'm measuring right along to 21, 21.5. So we want this point between the 2. So between 21 and 22, we have this point here, this little sort of sticky up bit, and that is my 21.5. Or working in inches, what did I say that was? 8 3/4 inches. Yeah. So that is my first cut line. Straight down where I put my pencil mark, which is good. Then we're going to turn it round and measure 18. So we go up to 18 centimetres and we'll cut that piece off. That piece is scrap. You can use it for sentiments or for whatever else you want to do. So that is my 18 by 21.5 centimetres, or it would be 7.5 inches by 8 3/4. And we're going to score it at 3 3/4 if you're working with inches, or 9 if you are working in centimetres. Oops, just move my blade out of the way because we do not want to cut it. We just want to score down the middle. And that forms my card base. So I can fold and score that. Let me just actually measure this. So this is already 8 centimetres across, because that's the bit we've got left on this sheet. I'm just going to trim it. I think it needs, does it need a slight trim? It does need a very slight trim. So I'll just take off that little tiny bit there. And it needs to be 20.5 across. So I will need to trim a little bit off the end because obviously our A4 sheets are 21 centimetres across. So we need to take off that ½ centimetre, and that is my second layer. So now I can get on with doing some scoring. So, I haven't put the chat up. Let me put the chat up so that if you are talking to me, I can actually see what you're saying. That's lovely. Glenda, hello. Sorry, yes, I didn't have the chat up, so I didn't see you come in there. So thank you for saying hello. If you are watching with Glenda, then do let me know who you are and where you're from, because I do like to know. So give that a good burnish, because that is basically our card base here. Why have I got a mark on that? I do not know. So I'm just going to rub that off. I don't know what it was, just a little bit of speck, actually, a speck of something. Probably a speck of glue from the desk, or because there's another one there. Just get rid of that. Right, so these are our 3 layers. And for this, and I've just realised I needed to bring my cut and emboss machine across, but I haven't. So I can use my little one, actually. I should be all right with that. So what we're going to do with... No, I do need my cut and emboss machine because we are going to do some clever stuff with this. So... what I'm going to do is, for this one, this is going to be what we call an eclipse card, okay? Which means that we're going to have whatever's on the top here, we're actually going to see the letters raised up. I hope it's going to make some sense. It's called an eclipse card. From Perth. Oh, Glenda. So it is, let me think. It's lunchtime here, so it's late at night with you, I think. We shall be in Perth at the end of November, visiting my sister and brother-in-law. So looking forward to that. You have to tell me where in Perth you are. They're roughly in the middle. So for this piece here, I'm actually going to use the washi tape and just cover this piece. So a bit down there like that. That's not very good. I haven't covered it terribly well because I haven't covered it very straight, but we will manage. I'm actually going to peel it off from this side if I can, just gently, because that bit wasn't straight. There we go. And then I'll just push it down from this end. I'll worry about that bit later as well. That's better. So we're just going to push it down straight, and if there are some air bubbles in, I'm just going to use my bone folder to just flatten those out. Peel off this end where I'd started it wrongly there. There we go. So I'm just going to flatten those out, and I am going to use the whole of, oops, just torn it there, but that's fine. I am going to use the whole strip of this. I'm not cutting it off in the middle of the pattern, as we have done previously. I am covering the whole strip, so now I'm just going to trim it off. Just cut trims off very quickly because it is washi tape, and if there is a little bit over, I can just fold it round the back of my card. Do that on this bit as well. And this end, so it looks neat. There we go. So I've covered the front piece here with I don't know which way to have it up now. It doesn't matter which way you have it up. This is going to go on the front of the card here, so it'll be fine. So now what I'm going to do is actually cut out the layers, and I've actually using some old dies here. I'm using Happy from my old large letter dies. The current large letter dies, these ones, they're called the party dies. These actually will fit, but they're very broad, and I wanted something a little bit narrower. So you could actually do that, but you'd have to slightly squish them up because these are absolutely huge letters, but they do fit. They do fit. So obviously it's 2 Ps. So I need to just be a little bit careful here, because I need to leave room for the second P, which is roughly the same width of that. So then I can make sure I've lined that up there. So what I'm going to do is cut the first 3 and then line up the last 2. So I'm laying them out just to make sure they're roughly where I want them to be. And then I'm going to stick them down. Because what I'm doing is making sure these base pieces are all in a line. You can actually use a pencil line or use a ruler or something just to make sure those are straight. I'm just going to eyeball them like that. And then that did not stick onto there, it just stuck on the other piece. So I'll put that back on. Let's just stick it across and then it'll stick onto the piece. There we go. There, you could use a bit more than I've used, but we're just going to use that and we're going to run it through the cut and emboss machine, whoops, which I will just have to lift from over here. Should have got this ready first. There we go. Where are my plates? They're over here as well. There we go. So just use my nice little mini one because it will fit. I think this will fit okay through here. Just make sure. Yes, it will. That's good. So I think I've given you this tip before, but when you're using the mini cut and emboss, just make sure your plates at this end are, can you see that I've got them not level, they're staggered, because it will go through the machine easy. If you try and put them through with the ends flat, I've discovered it just doesn't want to go through the machine. So we're just going to roll that through. And I don't want a line on my card, so I'm going to roll it back again. You don't need to because they will cut beautifully just going one way through. But if I'd carried on here, I would have got a line where the end of this plate hit, so I don't want that. So we're going to take those out, keep them to one side, and be careful and make sure that you keep, no, you don't want that actually, we can get rid of that bit. It's for the other card, I need to keep that bit, that's fine. So I can get rid of that. And the same with the P, we can take that out. Oops, put that up as well. There we are. So I've got hap. I need to finish the happy. So 9 p.m. Gosh, it's fairly late. Arterai, hello. I haven't seen you for a while. How are you? Nice to see you here. So I've cut those out. So now I want to make sure that this is lined up, bearing in mind that when you're lining this up, I don't want to line the bottom of the die to that. I want to line the bottom of the cut hole to that. So that P needs to be just slightly further down so that the cutout is level. As I said, I could have used a pencil and just drawn some lines on here, but I haven't. And then I want my Y to be lined up in the same way as well. So I'll just use a little bit of this sticky tape from here to stick that one down as well. Yep, I'm happy with that. So we will, whoops, well, I was happy with it till it fell off. I don't know why it's not sticking down. I think it's because I've used these bits of washi tape so much, they probably haven't got much sticky left. There we go. Or possibly I just didn't press it down hard enough, who knows. So same thing, that is going to come off, isn't it? Oh, both of them are coming off, that's no good. Let's try that all again. I'll get some new sticky tape, I think. Stick down. There's one more bit stuck to the desk here. I could just use. That's better, right. That really does not want to stick down there, does it? I suspect it's sticking washi tape to washi tape. It doesn't really like it. Okay, just going to be careful. Place it on, make sure it stays in place and get it through the machine quick. Okay, so I'm just going to do these last 2 letters. Go on through. Oh, that Y has just moved again. Really don't know why it doesn't want to stick down. The first letters did. Anyway, that's going to be okay. So I'm just going to run those through and again run it back again the same way so I don't get any lines at the end of the piece here. So there are various ways of then making this eclipse card look good. There are all my bits, my happy. So you can see I've cut it out direct from the pattern, which is why we put the pattern on first. I'm just going to get rid of these bits of washi tape that really weren't any good at tear and tape, which really weren't any good at all. They're now, of course, sticking to my dies. I'll have to clean those up later. No problem. They're sticking to my fingers too. I can't get them off my fingers. Oh dear, it's one of those days. They are just they're completely sticky. They're sticking to me. They just wouldn't stick to the washi tape. I suppose washi tape against tape. And that has slipped. That doesn't look so good, but never mind. We will carry on with the card because I've lost the other. Oh dear heavens! There it is. Lost the other plate now to put this away. Let me just put that over there and close my machine up, and then we can get on with the card. I may make another front to it because I'm not happy with that P having slipped. You can see how it's slipped there. Can you see how it's just not lined up at all? But well, does that really matter? Possibly not. I might be able to get away with it actually. We'll see. I'll show you how to make the card anyway. So this is just to add a layer behind. So we're going to do that. Just stick it on the front. This coloured piece. As I said, all of the no, I'm really not happy with that. I might have to redo that. But I'll show you how to put it together, and then I'll make a proper one. So when I take the picture, it actually looks decent because I'm not happy with that at all. But what you do now is you stick this on flat, and then these bits here, which is why we did want to keep the middle bits, and that's stupid of me. I knew we did want to keep the middle bits because these we're going to stick on in the holes. So you do want the middle bits. Do not throw them away. I'll have to go and fert mine out. You need to do it again anyway. And these are going to be raised up. So the actual letters are raised up. So let me, what have I got there that I can show you with? Can't remember. Yes, there they are. Because for the other card, I'd already cut out the same letters, which I'd already done a lot of preparation from some cards. So you can cut several layers of card and then you can just stick them all together. So if I stick that on there, I've now got a nice raised bit. And if I make this again, I've got a third bit to stick on. So when you add in your dimensionals to stick it up, it really will stick up properly. So I'm going to do another piece of that. I'm not happy. So I shall just get another piece of card. How are we doing for time? Because I have got this other one to show you. So I'm just going to make this bit again. But I can, as I said, I can use all of those letters. That's not a problem. That is going in the bin. I'm not happy with it. So this piece for my top needs to be 8 by 20.5. So we'll just make all this again. Apologies, folks. Thing of live crafting is sometimes it goes wrong. You're a bit late joining, Margaret. Margaret, hello. Long walk up from the pool. Oh my goodness. So, sunshine in Portugal. I was going to say you can't be anywhere in Ireland. It's a bit too cold today. It's beautiful. It's a lovely sunny day, but it's flipping cold. So how lovely. Portugal. Wow. Stick another die cut letter on the bit. Exactly. So you want to really 3 or 4 is good. I'll be doing 3 here. What else have we got here? I think the letters would look nice, slightly irregular. Yes, I think they probably would. The problem with that, Otterai, is that I've only done one slightly irregular, which doesn't quite look right. So if I'd wanted them to be irregular, I could have actually put more letters, and if I'd made at least one of the others irregular, that would have been better. So let's see if this works a bit better. So again, I'm just covering. Oh, see, I've got no air bubbles in that bit. So perhaps this is good. Perhaps this is a sign that this one's going to work all right. Let's see. Just going to trim that off over the edge so I can tuck a little bit behind. There we go. And then again, just rolling these little edges. Not much at the side because the tape is basically just about 8 centimeters wide. Whatever 8 centimeters in inches is wide. So Tuck that behind there. Now we are going to try again to cut out these letters properly. So, and I'm going to get new low-tack tape and get a whole new piece and make sure that it works this time, if I can find the end, which really doesn't want to come off. There we go. Okay. Right, so let us try again. So we'll have, do I want it that way up? Yeah, I think that'll do. So we'll have H, A, and P. So as long as that P isn't, if you're doing happy, you want the P roughly in the middle, making sure the bottoms all line up. It doesn't want to stick to the tape. I think when I made the prototype for this, it worked brilliantly. So I don't know why it's not sticking there. Hopefully that will stick enough just to hold them down to go through. Either that or I'll make them all irregular and then it's not a problem. Also, I need this back now. Don't know why I put it away. So what are you all making, folks? Anything nice at the moment? I hadn't made any slimline cards for ages, and actually it was because I saw the envelopes and I hadn't made an eclipse card and I hadn't made a slimline card, and I thought, oh, I'll put those two together. We'll have a slimline eclipse card. Right, yes, that's staying on this time, so let's try and make sure this works. Again, making sure I don't go over the edge of the plate so I don't get an unwanted crease in my piece that's going to go in the front of my card. Now what I'm going to do now, if I haven't lost it, there we go, is actually place my Y on before I move the other P so I can make sure that it is in the right place. A piece of this. And then I can move my P. So do not forget to do what I did forget before, which is to keep these middle bits. Now I've lost my pokey tool. Really, I'm having a bad day. There we go. Oh, still got my tape on that. So I'm going to keep that middle bit there and obviously the P, and then we will reuse this one to get the next P in here. So lining it up there and putting another bit of that across. We really don't need the whole bit there. Keep that one for later. I'll probably just move that across. I should have, the H is a little bit too far in, but that's okay. We can just move that across there. And this time, trying not to let it move this time. Pop it through my machine. And the good news about making that horrible blunder and getting them looking horrible is that I've now got extra letters to add to my eclipse card to give a bit more height, which is a good thing. I'm going to put that down there for now. Right. Okay, so where were we? I'm just going to take these off. Make sure I keep that middle bit of the P as well. And I've got so much tape on here, it's ridiculous. There we go. So again, with the A, I want to make sure I keep the middle bit of the A. I'm going to put that with my other middle bit. There we go. Right. Hopefully, this has now worked a lot better. Yeah, that looks a lot better, so I'm happier with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is stick this down to my card front. Just make sure that edge is folded over. That's it. And I'm going to stick this flat. We don't want to put dimensionals on here because otherwise we lose completely the effect of the eclipse card. So we're just going to pop pop some glue on here and stick it down flat onto the layer. So I've got my edge around the edge. So you want to have that nice sort of layer around, and that bit of, that's better. So now I've got the basis of my card. So what I do want to do is stick these on. So a little tiny bit of glue on these. I think I need, as minimum, a pokey tool here. And you can, if you wanted, use the die to make sure this goes in the right place. I'm just going to eyeball it for now because it will be fine. And the same with the peas. You want to put the middle of the peas down. So we're sticking down the bits that aren't going to stick up, if you see what I mean. Yeah, that one goes there, looking at the pattern now. So I get the right pea in the right place. Because that is cut out of that flower above there, as you can see. So this one will go here, and there is actually some glue on there. So I'll just add a bit more. And that one goes on there. There. So that's now my basis. I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue just behind the H bits, because otherwise they're going to flop, which is not a good idea. That one's got a little bit of glue on anyway. So I've now got all of these letters that I can now stick all together in a big nice pile. And I really should have done some of this prep earlier, because this is the fiddly bit that takes the time. You want to really make sure these are lined up properly. Like that. Oh, now, hang on. Let me just check. That's for that one. Let's hope I haven't done it. Yes, I have. I haven't used it. I want the correct happy to be out here, because they're going to be my top layers. So I want to make sure I'm using the right ones and not ones that don't match the pattern. Nope, see, that's the wrong one. It's this one for there, I think. Is it? No, it isn't. Must be this one. Nope. Oh, yes, I have. There we go. That one. There we go. Right. So I can stick all of these together, and then I know which my top ones are. So, could do with the idea that, like, with the wishing die shadow, like that, and then cut the word out of the wishing die. Oh, you mean the word wishing from the oh, what's it called? Yeah, from that set. Yes, you can do this with any die. You can do this. I've done it obviously with separate letters, but you can do this with any die that cuts out a word, to be honest, and just raise it up. And if you cut it out several times off, various bits of card, because you can just use scrap card for this. It doesn't even have to be Stampin' Up card. It can be anything. The thicker the better, because the more thickness you can get for fewer die cuts, then that's really better anyway. Because you just want it to have a little bit of depth. You're going to use dimensionals to raise it up, so it's already got the depth of dimensional, but it does help, I think, to have them with a little bit more depth. And 3 is my usual one, to be honest. I'm doing 3 on this now. I was going to try it with 2 if it did work the first time, but I didn't. Obviously, it didn't work because it wanted me to use 3, which is my usual layer. So that's perhaps why. Perhaps that's why it didn't work. Who knows? So there are my first set of happies. And now I can stick these ones on top, knowing that these are the correct ones to stick on top. But yes, you can do it with any word dies, or you can do it. One nice way to do it, I've made these before with a friend, where you cut out using the thin alphabet dies and using, it's upside down, stupid, using the using an image as one of the dies. So I've made one using happy, for example, but I've used a stamped image instead of an A, and that looks really nice as well, just to be different. So there's all sorts of ways you can play around with this type of card. So do that, do have a good play. This is the bit that takes the time, and really I should have done this before, but never mind. I have done a lot of the preparation for the second card, so that really won't take as long at all. You'll be glad to know. So Margaret, you're working on cards with the cone flower. Oh yes, I haven't got that one. And you do scrapbooking. I do not do scrapbooking, as you know. I did try it. I did try it at the Stamping Up conference, but I can't say I particularly enjoyed it, and I wasn't that pleased with the end result. And I just don't know what I'd use them for. I don't want yet more stuff to clutter the house, so I wouldn't make big albums or anything. I know one of my team actually makes them for the WI and uses them a scrapbook page for each of the meetings they have, so that they can keep records of what they've done in the meetings, which is a nice idea as well. So I know you can do lots with scrapbooking, but it's just doesn't push my boat, as they say. I like making cards. I've just put glue on the wrong side of that, which is really stupid. Never mind. I'm going to put dimensionals on in a minute anyway, so it'll be fine. There we go. So there are my letters. They're now 3 long, and I could just stick them like that straight in, but I do like to use some dimensionals. I'm just going to wipe up that glue that I've managed to get everywhere. It's on the back of that one actually, so I'll just wipe it off quickly. There we go. Because I am going to use dimensionals on the back of these. I've got some mini dimensionals here. And then you should see what this is going to look like. Might need a little bit of one to go on there, so I'm just going to cut a little narrow bit out. The beauty of the mini dimensionals is you've got a lovely length of bit round the side, so that if you need long thin strips instead of the thickest dimensionals, like I do for that narrow arm of the Y, then I can simply cut it off the edge of the pack, the edge of the sheet of mini dimensionals. My fingers are now sticky from that tape, so my dimensional tops are sticking to my fingers now. Oh, I'll pull them off later. So that is my Y. So we'll just line it up with the gap, and can you see the effect it has? So we've still got the pattern, but this is then lined up nicely. So we're going to do these next 2 as well, making sure I get the correct P in the right place. These I can just use full dimensionals for all of these. I'm fairly generous with dimensionals when I'm doing these cards, because you don't want this to move at all. You don't want it to fall out or anything like that. So there's my second one. Can't wait. You can't seem to see the chat. Oh. I don't know. I think it depends, because obviously I'm on Facebook and YouTube. So you'll see the chat, whichever one you are on, you will see the chat from that one, but not from the other one, if that makes sense, Arterai. So if you're on a different system to everybody else, I don't know what people are watching on, because it doesn't tell me. Oh, it does. It tells me that Margaret is on Facebook. So if you're on YouTube, Arterai, then that's why you can't see the Facebook chat. I can see both, because I'm very lucky. So that's why I try and say it as well. So that'll be why. And Glenda, I think you're also on YouTube, which is great. So yeah, I think that's why. Arthur, I think that, if that makes sense. Never quite understand technology, me. It's very difficult, but I know some people like Facebook, some people detest Facebook. So I do it on both Facebook and YouTube, so hopefully it suits most people. I'm actually going to put a narrow one on that one, so I'll cut another narrow one in a minute. So I'm going to cut 2 more little strips, so because I can make these totally custom made for whichever size I want, as long as I can then get them off. Come on, there we go. I will put the other one on the A as well, just so it's absolutely covered. As I said, I do tend to be making these sorts of cards. I am very, very generous with dimensionals, because I do think you need to have these letters really well set down. So there is my A. Oops. And finally, my H. So you see why it's important now to make sure that you've got your P's, for example, the correct P in the right place, because otherwise the patterns wouldn't follow. You want the pattern of the background to show here. Now, obviously, I've used washi tape for the background. You can use, you can stamp a background and do the same thing. This principle goes everywhere. So there, can we see? So it says happy. Don't know if you can see the depth on it, hopefully. But there we go. So that is, it's still okay to post because it's not super deep, you can see from there. But the more layers you put on there, obviously the deeper it gets. So you do want to be just a little thought about that for postage purposes. And then I had already stamped the birthday because I am going to add that again with some dimensionals just underneath my letters. So it says happy birthday. It could say happy whatever you wanted it to say, of course. So I'd already stamped that, and I would stamp the middle of it as well, and obviously put a sentiment and a decoration inside it. And on the envelope, which I'm not going to do yet because I've got another card to show you, and this one's taken much longer than I thought because I've had to do it twice. So I'm going to just stick my birthday. I think we'll have it here. So there we go. There's my finished card. Happy birthday, an eclipse card. So I hope you enjoyed that. And they're so simple to make. And as I said, as long as you've got a decent size of alphabet die or word, you can do it with a word. You can, with our word separate word dies. You can do it with whatever you wanted, really. You could do it with images and raise images. Totally up to you. But they're good fun to make. And I think particularly for these large letters, it does work nicely on a slimline card. So that is my first card, finally made properly. I have got here the whole range of cutouts from the washi tape, and I'm going to add some of those. Just, I'll show you what I mean, just as a separate, just as a bit of extra to it. I think we'll have that one there, for example. And you can either put these flat or add them on with dimensionals, but adding a little bit more decoration to it, because to my mind, this washi tape is gorgeous, but it does leave some white spaces, and I just want to fill those in, to be honest. The leaves are probably the best thing to fill them in, or a flower. I can put this flower in, actually. I'm just going to do that to show you what I mean. I'm not going to finish the whole card. I will, before I take the picture to put it in the blog. But so I can fit to that in there, and then this on top, and it just fills out the spaces. And you can see I've actually used scrap card to put the washi tape on to cut these pieces out, because you don't need to use the really good card. It just isn't necessary. I'm going to put this bit in the middle just while I think about it. Oops. I'm just getting everything everywhere at the moment, but that's okay. Stick that in there. So the end is behind there. There we go. And some of these can go up on dimensionals as well if you wanted. Just adds a little bit more to the card and fills in some of those gaps. So I'll probably put a few more on there before I finish it, but that gives you the idea. So I hope you like that card. Right, the second card, I've already done a lot of the preparation, you'll be glad to know, because it's made in a very similar way. But this time I've put the washi tape on the coloured card layer. So this time, make a great shaker. Yes. Yes, you could. Yes. Where would you actually put the shaker bits to show? If you made the letters, yes. How you get the pattern, then I don't know. Anyway, various things you can think about doing. I'd love to see that if you managed to make one of those, Margaret. Nice idea. This time I've put the washi tape over the coloured layer. This time I've used a pretty in pink layer, put that on there. And this time I've cut, I don't know if you can see, but I've cut the washi tape slightly smaller than the layer because I don't want it to stick out beyond my front piece. And this time I have just embossed my layer 1. Again, it's my layer 1 in basic white, but this time I've embossed it, and I actually used the So Swirly embossing folder just to emboss this. Then I cut the letters out. So again, I'm keeping those middle bits, but this time I'm going to raise the front so you see the pattern through the words. So I'm just going to put this on. I've already prepared it. I've used my strips this time rather than hundreds and hundreds of dimensionals because it will be a lot quicker to take off, even though there's still a lot of bits. And my only tip for this is make sure you do put enough dimensionals in the middle parts of the front layer, because otherwise it sort of sinks there and doesn't look quite right. So you do need to make sure you put you do put plenty of dimensionals or tape or whatever you're using in these gaps between the letters. So yes, this card is actually a lot easier to make from into a shaker card than the other one, because obviously if you made these so that they touched and there were no gaps, you could then put a sheet of acetate here and then have the shaker behind all the letters. You'd have to make sure there's no gaps when you're putting these lengths of tape on, these lengths of, what are they called? I'm trying to think what they're called. You know what I mean, the strips. Foam strips, that's what they're called, foam strips. So for a shaker card, you just need to make sure that they all touch so that there's no gaps, because otherwise all the shaker stuff falls out. How do I know that? Because I've done that one. Yeah, another mistake that I have managed to do myself. I'm very good at it. So then we're sticking that on there like that, and you can see that that shows through. And then again, I've put little tiny bits of dimensional on the back of the middle parts of these letters, the A, if I can get it off, the A and the 2 P's. Come on off. Really does not want to come off, that bit. There we go. So then I can place my A where I want it. Oops. You'd only stick down. There we go. There. And my P's. Now there is a pattern in the swirl, but I'm not going to worry too much about which one's which, because I'd probably drive myself mad trying to work out that pattern. And it doesn't really matter because it's a irregular pattern. Obviously, you may have to just watch that if you're using a coloured piece or a patterned piece of card on top. But the key with this one is you want it to be fairly plain on top, because it's the underneath layer that you want to see through it. So there is my negative eclipse card, I suppose you could call that one, and my eclipse card, both made in the same way. And it was these ones I'd cut out that I used as layers for this one, so I can make 2 there. So I hope you like those cards. I'm going to decorate the middle of them as well, of course. So did you see the washi tape cards I tried to share last week? I don't think I saw those, Margaret. I'll go and have another look. Yeah, interesting. So Margaret made some washi tape cards last week, and I saw your big cards for the 60th birthday, but were those with the washi tape? Can't remember now. Did see those. So make life more difficult. You could do each letter a different colour with a box behind each letter. Yes, you could if you wanted to do a really complex shape card. Totally up to you. I'm just trying to give you ideas, but I hope these ideas have really helped all of you to think of ways you might want to use this gorgeous washi tape. Really, there are so many uses for it. And I've made so many cards with it already, to be honest, but hopefully you've enjoyed these ones. So Anyway, there we go. There's these two. I still need to decorate the inside before I take the pictures and put them in the blog. So the blog will be up in a bit. They're both so lovely. Arthur, I thank you very much. You prefer the first one, the actual eclipse one. I think just because it looks, there's so much going on in it, it's very busy. Putting the two together actually isn't helpful. So I'm going to show you that one. Put that to one side and then show you this one. They're very different. They look very different, but again, using the same thing. And for example, here I have got gaps where this is just part of the washi tape that doesn't have anything stuck in it. So do you know what? I can use bits of these, actually a smaller one than that. And I'll just use that flower, I think. And I can stick that behind. So I can fill in the gaps using other bits of cut out washi tape. So let me just do that. Should have cut them out of the pink card, of course, because then it would look even better. Make sure it goes behind there. There we go. So I can fill in these with just little bits of, there's another one here I can use in this one next door, I think. So I can carry on fiddling with these, and I can also add bits of this to the top if I wanted and add extra decoration on there. I haven't done my birthday yet for this one either, which I must do. And they will soon be finished and soon be up there. Embossing the white layer adds loads of interest. Yes, it does. I don't like plain fronts. You know, if you've got too much plain card, I think it just doesn't look right. It looks a bit boring, to be honest. So yeah, no, they're melon mambo. You printed the stamp and gold embossed, and is white flowers. Gold embossed it with white flowers. I will have a look, Margaret, and see what you'd put down there. Okay, so anyway, there is my first card. I'm not going to show them together because they do sort of take away from each other somehow. Is that, yeah, it is basically flat. There's my second. I'll move that one out of the way. Okay, but I hope you like those. Anyway, have a play, make some slimline cards just as something different. Thank you very much for joining me today. Let me just get me back so I can speak to you properly. There we go, that's better. So sorry about the mess for the card of the first one, but hey, this is live crafting, it happens. We managed to get through it, and that's the key. You can always get through these things, and it helped me because it gave me an extra layer for my happy. So it was no problem in the end. Happy accident, as we say. There are never mistakes, there are just happy accidents in crafting. So all of the details for this will be on the blog at craftycarolscards.co.uk, and I hope to see you again next Tuesday, where we will be, I think we're going to be doing some embossing. Oh, I know what we're doing. Yes, because it is the Tech for Stampers blog hop week next week, and the theme is embossing. So I'm going to show you a really fun technique with embossing, which I don't know if you've used before, but yeah, join me then. You'll need if you want to craft along with me next Tuesday, you will need a blending brush, a normal A5 or A6 card base, and some white embossing powder. There's a tip. Some of you will know exactly what I'm going to be doing next week now, but I hope to see you again then. Thank you for joining me today, and do go to the blog to get the full details. Right, definitely the first one, you love it. Jolly good. Well, I'm glad you like the cards.